Welcome to the Jampack Report today for September 10th of 2023. I'm Jampack Sam, and on today's show, Starfield is officially the biggest Bethesda game launch of all time. Switch 2 rumors and reports are starting to circulate once again, and we have an Xbox 360 built of Mega Bloks. Lots to dig into on today's show, so without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. Starfield has officially become the biggest Bethesda game launch of all time, and that's a significant achievement at any measure, but we also have to consider Game Pass is in the mix as well. We'll talk about why more in a moment. Let's get to the story at IGN first with Kat Bailey and Luke Riley. At more than 6 million players, Starfield is officially the biggest Bethesda game launch of all time. It's a remarkable milestone for the RPG developer, not the least because it is home to established franchises like Fallout and The Elder Scrolls. Bethesda marked the achievement on X with a thank you to the players. Quote, as of this morning, Starfield has already surpassed 6 million players, making it the biggest Bethesda game launch of all time, Bethesda wrote on September the 7th at 6 p.m. By comparison, Skyrim managed to sell 3.4 million physical units across Xbox, PS3, and PC 2 days after its launch in 2011. By December, that number had risen to 10 million. Fallout 4, meanwhile, managed to sell 1.2 million copies on Steam within 24 hours of its release, while breaking Grand Theft Auto 5 Steam concurrent's record. However you slice it, Starfield is off to a strong start. They say everyone is playing Starfield. Starfield's latest milestone follows the news of it exceeding 1 million concurrent players across all platforms. CEO Phil Spencer announced the achievement in a post on X. Thanks to all the players who helped us reach this great milestone, and congrats to Bethesda Studios, the Xbox boss said. And here you can see a little graphic of all of the 9s and 10s out of 10s that the game has gotten from a lot of the reviewers across the board. So those are the stories we have right now. Those are the big numbers that have been confirmed so far by Bethesda. I've seen concurrent players on Steam reach over 300,000 at this point, which is pretty impressive considering we are now getting away from the game's launch and we're getting into the main weekend following the game's launch, so those are some pretty impressive metrics right there. And I do think the Game Pass has to be considered as a factor here, and that's not to take away from the achievement of getting over 6 million players to dive into a game on day one. But when you think about how many people are playing Game Pass and how many people got Game Pass just to dive in and check out Starfield, that is boosting those numbers in a very, very big way, and that's the system working as intended. People are going to use that point as a way to take away from the success of Starfield, when in reality, the whole point of Game Pass is to get more players playing more games. For millions of these players that might be playing on Game Pass, it might not be a game that they picked up on day one. Maybe they had an aversion to Bethesda games because they hadn't liked them in the past. With Game Pass, you can dive in, check it out for yourself, and not have to rely on reviews like we talked about last week that may or may not be reliable, that may or may not reflect how you are going to feel about the game. And so no matter what way you slice this, it is a significant achievement for Bethesda and Microsoft, because for Bethesda, this is hitting a new high for one of their game launches, which is a win all around. But for Microsoft, this is showing the machine they've been building finally turning on. This is showing the ecosystem they've created functioning as intended. Big games come out, they get good reviews, and people are able to dive in and play across PC, Xbox consoles, and access it via Game Pass through the cloud no matter where they might be playing. The game is there waiting for them. And I have spent a significant amount of time diving into Starfield. Typically, this is not the kind of game that I would go for. I've never been a big Bethesda RPG guy, but of course, with the success of Starfield, with the notoriety of Starfield, I've had to dive in and give it a shot. And normally, I'll play maybe 8 to 10 hours of games a week. And again, you can call me a casual or whatever. We've all got lives. I've got to go to work. I've got family to take care of. We've got things that are going on. This week, I put 25 hours into Starfield. That's pretty significant for me. That speaks a lot to the experience that I'm having in the game, and it really is this huge open world sandbox that you dive into and just explore, and it's something really, really special. So, of course, as always, congrats to the team at Bethesda Game Studios. This is an amazing achievement, and let me know in the comment section down below, have you checked out Starfield? What do you think about the game? And do you think these players are going to be sticking around for the long run whenever the DLC drops, whenever Starfield 2 potentially comes out? Do you think this is the start of something big for Microsoft and Bethesda Game Studios? Next up, we head to VGC, where sources say Nintendo showed off Switch 2 demos at Gamescom. Sounds like Nintendo's next console could be here sooner than we might think. Andy Robinson at VGC writes, Nintendo showed off tech demos for its Nintendo Switch successor behind closed doors at Gamescom, it's understood. That's according to a new report from Eurogamer, which VGC can corroborate via our own sources. According to the publication, Nintendo privately showed invited developers specially prepared tech demos for its next-generation games console, which could launch next year. One Switch 2 demo is understood to have been an improved version of the Switch launch title Zelda Breath of the Wild, running at a higher frame rate and resolution than the original game did on hardware targeting the new console's specs, but there was no suggestion the game will actually be re-released. Another VGC source claimed that Nintendo showcased Epic's impressive The Matrix Awakens Unreal Engine 5 tech demo, originally released to showcase the power of PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X in 2021, running on target specs for its next console. The demo is said to have been running using NVIDIA's DLSS upscaling technology with advanced ray tracing enabled and visuals comparable to Sony's and Microsoft's current-gen consoles. However, it should be noted this does not mean the Switch successor will sport raw power anywhere near that of a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X, which are not portable devices. DLSS, Deep Learning Supersampling, is a feature exclusive to NVIDIA's graphics cards. On PC, it works by using AI to upscale the resolution of games, effectively allowing developers to achieve higher graphical settings and better frame rates on weaker hardware. According to Digital Foundry's analysis, DLSS at any normal screen distance looks almost as good as the real thing. Notably, Nintendo filed patents for potential AI upscaling technology plans back in March 2020, and they talk more about the patents and things like that, but this is a very, very significant mark because this is the first time we're seeing something that's kind of concrete with Nintendo Switch 2 rumors. What is Nintendo cooking up next? We've seen rumors, we've seen talks, we've seen discussions around what it could be. This is the first time we're really getting a first-hand, or I should say, I guess, a second-hand account of what it will be. And again, hardware was not shown off at the event, but it was just hardware that was running specs comparable to what the Nintendo Switch 2 will be. So form factor is still an outstanding question. Backwards compatibility, of course, has not been confirmed or commented on directly, but you would have to assume that at this point, Nintendo has created such an ecosystem of robust Switch fans that have built up these catalogs, backwards compatibility would be baked in to the future of their next system. It just makes sense to go that route. But this is Nintendo, and things don't always make sense with Nintendo. And then we have the question of the games. What is the launch lineup going to look like? How many games are going to be available at launch? Things like that are always on the mind, but we are in the very, very earliest stages of talking about the Switch 2 at this point, where the rumors are starting to circulate, the reports are coming in. This is when things really start to heat up, and this is potentially going to be coming out in 2024, maybe fall 2024, but Nintendo could put it out sooner than that. They've had some struggling hardware sales recently compared to previous years, so I'm sure they are very keen to get that thing out the door ASAP. I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in store, and with so many big handhelds hitting the market, like the ROG Ally, like the Steam Deck, it would be good to see Nintendo put something out that's accessible, has awesome exclusive content, and packs a little bit more power. Mortal Kombat 1 launches for early access players this Friday, and fans around the world are very excited. I've been covering the game all summer through YouTube Shorts and TikToks, showing off the fighters and fatalities, and every time a new character is revealed or some gameplay is shown off, there's just this new wave of hype that comes from it, and that's something that's super cool to see. But this week there was a different wave of hype, because after more than 30 years, Jean-Claude Van Damme is finally going to be in a Mortal Kombat game. And if you don't know who Jean-Claude Van Damme is, he was the star of Bloodsport back in the 80s, and he is the inspiration for Johnny Cage. He's the real-life Johnny Cage. Originally, when Ed Boon and NetherRealm were going to make Mortal Kombat, they wanted to make a game based entirely around Jean-Claude Van Damme, but when they reached out to him, he was unavailable. He was actually working on Street Fighter at the time, and so he couldn't jump on for the Mortal Kombat project. And ever since then, Ed Boon has wanted to get Jean-Claude Van Damme in a Mortal Kombat game, and it's finally happening with Mortal Kombat 1. Now, as you would expect, the actor is a little bit older now. However, they have de-aged him, brought him back into the game. This is going to be his 1980s character brought to life, and it is going to be a skin for Johnny Cage himself. So no new fighting moves, nothing like that, but there are going to be some unique voice lines. It is going to be Jean-Claude Van Damme in full, and here you see some of the gameplay of him in action. And I've just got to say, I wanted to call it out on today's show, because Mortal Kombat 1, from what I'm seeing so far, as someone who's a casual fan of Mortal Kombat, is a love letter to the fans. This is the most fan-focused game I've seen in a very, very long time. I mean, it's bringing people back that people have been wanting for years. You see characters that have been gone for almost 20 years. You see Jean-Claude Van Damme finally coming into the game. That kind of fan service is going to go a long way for a community like the Mortal Kombat community that's so dedicated to this one specific franchise. There are tons of people who do not play other fighting games and they just play Mortal Kombat. And while this might not be one of the biggest selling games of the year when it all pans out compared to games like Call of Duty and Madden and things like that, this is by far going to be one of the biggest fighting game launches of the year, and that's alongside the likes of Street Fighter, and of course next year, even looking to the future, Tekken 8 is going to have a hard time competing with something like Mortal Kombat. But this kind of stuff is just so cool to see. I love seeing this fan service done in a way that just captures what this game is all about. It's about cool fatalities, cool characters fighting each other in the ring. Just love to see that kind of thing. So if you're picking up Mortal Kombat 1, let me know down below. And if you do want the Jean-Claude Van Damme skin, it is exclusive to the premium edition of the game. So you do have to shell out that $100 instead of the typical $70. But hey, you also get some of the DLC things that are coming in the future. Maybe worth it if you really, really want this skin. Next up, we've got 4 Xbox stories and 1 Spyro story to round out today's show. They're all kind of quick hits, so we're going to make our way through them. First off, the Xbox September update is coming soon, and this one lets you stream your games from your Xbox to your Discord friends. And here's a quick video of it in action. You literally just boot up the main Xbox menu, you go to Discord, and you work your way through to find the server you want to go to, the voice channel you want to go to, and then you stream your game to the appropriate group. And this might not be something that seems like a big deal if you're trying to grow an audience like you would on Twitch or YouTube or that kind of thing. But if you do spend a significant amount of time in Discords talking to people about games, showing off games, maybe you're in a community Discord, like I'm in a few of them. This is a great way to show off the experiences that you're having in a game. If something new launches and you want to show it off to a small group of your friends, this is a really good way to do that without having to have any kind of additional hardware, capture cards, that kind of thing. And you can see the UI and the way that it works right now. So that's super cool to see, and I'm glad to see this update finally making its way to Xboxes. And I mean, even comparing the Discord integration to a year ago, look at how far it's come. You no longer have to go through some kind of weird second app. It all just works on the Xbox system itself. And I would love to see this kind of feature come to PlayStation as well, maybe even Nintendo Switch in the future, but we all know that will never happen. It's never going to happen. Discord on Switch, never going to happen. Putting my money on that right now. But alongside that, we have the variable refresh rate update for Xbox Series X consoles. Almost got me on the tongue twister there, Xbox Wire. You almost got me there. We've also got new places to view and redeem rewards, and you can ask to join your friends' gaming sessions directly from the menus alongside Xbox voice reporting. So a good little string of updates there, but the Discord streaming is absolutely taking the cake as the biggest piece of news coming out of this month's little update. Next up, Tokyo Game Show 2023 is right around the corner, and Xbox has shared their plans on how they're going to attend. Jared West, the CMO at Xbox, writes, the Xbox digital broadcast will be returning to Tokyo Game Show on September 21st at 6 p.m. JST, 9 a.m. UTC, and 2 a.m. PDT. That is 2 a.m. Pacific Time, in case you were incredibly dedicated. Tokyo Game Show represents a special time each year where we share news and updates on games that we hope will delight Xbox fans in Japan and across Asia. Players can expect to hear progress updates from Xbox and Bethesda Softworks and see a creatively diverse collection of games from creators predominantly located in Japan and across Asia. We'll also share exciting new games coming to Xbox Game Pass, which continues to grow with great content from teams all around Asia. This year's broadcast will be available on Tokyo Game Show's official YouTube channel, as well as on select Xbox social channels in Japanese, English, Korean, Simplified Chinese, Traditional Chinese, Malay, Thai, Vietnamese, Indonesian, French, German, and Castilian Spanish. It will also be broadcast with Japanese Sign Language, Australian Sign Language, and audio descriptions in both Japanese and English. A full list of where you can watch the broadcast will be available the week of the show. Xbox's Tokyo Game Show always comes with a unique Japan-inspired look, and this year we have brought together some of the most famous iconography of both Xbox and Japan. The Xbox Nexus and Xbox Series X console are featured alongside Manike Nico, Think I said that correctly? Maybe not. Also known as Beckoning Cat, and surrounded by Mount Fuji, Cosmos Flowers, and a Japanese lantern. We hope that Maneki Nico brings good luck to all of our players, whether they are tuning in online, the TGS, or visiting the Makuhari Messe in person this year. And so, if you have wanted to tune in for a while, the Tokyo Game Show is about to get underway. Again, everything starts off on September the 21st with some Game Pass announcements, with some updates on Xbox and Bethesda Softworks. Would love to see what new stuff is coming down through those teams. So tune in, stay tuned, and we are going to be seeing a lot of announcements in the weeks ahead. Next up, we've got some bad but necessary news to share. Replaced has been delayed to 2024, and if you're not familiar with Replaced, this is a side-scrolling cyberpunk-looking game that made its debut a couple of years ago during an Xbox event, but it's been on and off ever since, and fans were wondering if it was still coming out in 2023, and that is confirmed to not be the case any longer. They write, "Here at SadCat, we would like to address the release date shift of Replaced. First of all, we have to admit, game development is hard. It's also rewarding in its own right, but mostly it's just hard. We would like to pay our respects to every team who delivers their project, no matter how small or big it is. It's a tremendous achievement. After Replaced initial announcement in 2021 and its follow-up trailer in 2022, we had this incredible high bar of community's expectations. And at this point, we knew that we can't afford to release a subpar game. We truly want Replaced to be something special and memorable for everybody. This is our first game, and we want to make every aspect of it the best it can be. We want to stress the fact that we do understand the game's scope, and we're very aware of traps of overpromising and under-delivering. As of today, development is progressing at a steady pace. The majority of systems are functional now, and we are in a super intense asset production phase, which is currently our main bottleneck. Our quality bar is incredibly high. To give an example of this, the main character in Replaced has more than 500 meticulously hand-painted animations made just for platforming. Luckily, these are all finished now. We want to deliver every aspect of the game to the same high standard, and that requires additional time and effort. Unfortunately, this also means we have to delay the game's release. Once again, we would like to thank everybody who supports us. Honestly, we could not stop reading your awesome comments after the initial trailer release. If you are interested in some of the behind the scenes of Replaced and learning more about the development process, feel free to join our Discord server, where we share our dev blogs, thoughts, cats, and just have a nice chat with our community. Signed, Coatsink and Thunderful Games. Good statement, number one. Take all the time you need. It's a debut game. And looking at this slate of releases that we're working through right now in September and October and even November, there is no shortage of new games to play. We definitely don't need Replaced to come out and then get overshadowed, almost in a way like Sea of Stars did. Not to say that game is not doing well, but it's not at the top of people's discussions right now because Starfield is coming out, Baldur's Gate's out on PlayStation, we've got Spider-Man 2 in a couple of weeks, Alan Wake 2, Mortal Kombat 1. The games just keep coming. So giving this little indie time to shine in maybe March, April, May of next year, even later is fine, whatever works. Give it the time that it needs to not only be a better game, but also breathe once it comes out. I think that's my main takeaway here. So Replaced is still lining up to be a very, very good looking game, and I'm excited to dive in. Also going to be a Game Pass drop on day one as well for my Game Pass fans out there. Also, you can build an Xbox 360 that won't brick. They write at GameSpot with this Mega Bloks set. The Xbox 360 is easily one of the best looking consoles of all time, and if you've been wanting to add one to your personal museum that you had an actual hand in putting together, then this new release from Mega will meet those very specific requirements. Priced at $150 and releasing on October 8th, this replica of the Xbox 360 doesn't just look like a low-poly version of the Xbox successor, it also comes with a few great extras you can physically build into it. At this time, the set is only available to pre-order at Target, but we would expect pre-orders at other retailers to open up soon. Just keep in mind this could very well sell out. And so heading over to the pre-order page at Target, you've got to see this thing. It is full on an Xbox 360 replica. From the box itself to the actual piece you are putting together. This is a day one original Xbox. You've got the hard drive slot on the top, a copy of Halo 3, the Xbox 360 controller. This thing is just too cool. And as somebody who loves collectibles, this kind of thing just does it for me. I can't tell you why, don't know why. Not even going to ask at this point. I just love this kind of thing. And so there's a video talking about the inside of it that you can check out. I'll actually throw it up here. I finally found the video over on Twitter, and this is what it's going to look like when you finally get it all put together. You've got LEDs in the actual power button on the console and on the controller, and I do want to spotlight this little side panel right here. You've got the cooling fans, you've got everything within the Xbox 360 itself. The disk drive is right there and a very cool Xbox logo all nestled in, and then you'll put the side panel on. You are literally building an Xbox 360 out of Mega Bloks. And I know that might not appeal to everybody, especially for $150, but it's just cool to see this kind of project come that not only captures the Xbox 360, but that also brings back that nostalgia for people that might have had one as a kid that might be collectors now. This is super cool to see. So if you do want to pick one up, again, pre-orders are live now at Target coming October the 8th, and it's just cool. I just had to mention it on today's show. And I'll tell you what else is cool, but also absolutely terrifying. Spyro the Dragon turned 25 years old last week. The Game Awards writes, "Happy birthday to Spyro the Dragon, who turns 25 years old today as of September the 9th at 1:46 p.m. on Twitter. His first game was released on this day in 1998 by Insomniac Games for PlayStation, and Spyro the Dragon has gone on to become this cultural icon, deeply associated with PlayStation for a long time, but now starting to branch out with the Reignited trilogy. More games potentially on the way. Would love to see that maybe be a thing. But once again, happy birthday to Spyro the Dragon, an icon that I grew up with throughout my childhood." And that wraps up today's episode of the Jampack Report. I'm about to go play more Starfield, but if you enjoyed today's show, you like what you see or what you hear, and you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button on YouTube or add the show to your podcast feed of choice and get it delivered right to you every single Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. It's always a great time breaking down the hottest news of the week, and we have a lot of news coming in the weeks ahead. We've got multiple review roundups coming out this week, Mortal Kombat 1, Lies of P, lots to dig into, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Until then, as always, keep on playing.